So I made a video the other day on the nature of God, and I didn't feel like I gave that subject the time and attention that it deserved. So I'm going to expound on that a little bit today. Hopefully, we'll also discuss morality and what God has to do with the conception of the good, if he has anything to do with it at all. So, first off, don't listen to me. Nothing I'm going to say today is anything that is apart from my own experience or apart from yours. If you want to investigate and interrogate your own experience, I think you'll come to the same conclusions. And if you don't, if you come to a different conclusion, then please tell me. I'd love to hear. But I'm not speaking as somebody so dumb as to arrogate and pontificate and speak bombastically as if I'm a Jesus or Moses or Buddha or Lao Tzu or any of those figures, because I'm not, right? I don't know what I am. That said, if you don't come to the same conclusions, just forget you ever watched this video and move on. That's fine too. So first off, well, what is God, right? What is the nature of God? Is God a deity out there somewhere that you can find? Well, in the Christian Bible, Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven will not come with signs and symbols. You will not be able to say, lo, it is here, lo, it is there, right? So I don't think heaven or God is something that you can go out and find. Well, if you can't go and find God, but I insist that there still is God, well, then where is God? Well, God is right here, right now. And we get a hint of that in Exodus 3:14. When Moses asks the burning bush, who should I say sent me? The response is, I am that I am. Say that I am that I am sent you. Well, what does that statement mean? Because it's a profound statement. It's really important. I am that I am. Well, it indicates a few things. One, it indicates truth. Because no matter what you say he is, he is. He agrees. If you say that he's this or that, he is. I am that. Right? Thou art that. Tat tavamasi. So God is telling you something about his nature. That he is already here. Wherever you look, wherever you inquire, there God is also. Right? You can't be apart from God, because otherwise you could exist without God, which would make God fairly irrelevant, and you would have your own power to bring things into the real and into existence. But I don't think that's true. So, if we say that I am that I am, that implies truth, well, it also implies being, right? Because God is saying something very specific. I am that I am. He's saying your very I amness, right? That by which you know that you exist is what God is, right? Because if God is the ultimate real and everything else depends upon him for their realness and existence, then there is some aspect of that you are imbued with. You have to be. Otherwise you couldn't exist, because you exist on the back of God. Not apart from God, but because God exists, you exist. Right? So that I amness that you feel inside yourself itself is God. Right? I am that I am. He tells you right there. Right? In Psalms when it says, be still and know that I am God. I am is God. It would have been very helpful if they put an is in there. They didn't. Doesn't matter. So, if I make the claim that your I amness is the spark of God, in you, the peace of God that lets you know that he exists and that you exist, well, then what's the nature of that I am, right? Because when I ask you, who are you? What are you? Well, you're likely to tell me a whole bunch of things about your body or your mind, right? You're going to tell me about where you've been, what you've done, right? But all those things exist only for a moment. And your I amness, unlike those things, has never lacked continuity. It's always been there, right? It was there in your 3-year-old body, it's there in your body now, and it'll be there in your 80-year-old body, right? And it doesn't change. This sense that I know that I exist has stayed the same my entire life. It doesn't go away when I grow. It doesn't change. It doesn't become something new when my body and my mind become something new, right? So if you don't think that you're your body, then you probably think that you're your mind. Well, then which mind? Is it the mind that knew everything that you knew last year? The mind that knows everything that you know now? Or will it be the mind that knows everything 10 years from now that you know? Well, which mind, right? Because while the mind is constantly changing, just like the body, that I amness isn't. It's the same I amness that has been there the whole time that I have been here, that you have been here, right? You know that you are, and it's never changed. It's steady like a rock. So what other aspects of your experience are that steady, that have that degree of continuity, unfaltering continuity? Well, there are a couple other things, right? In every moment, you have the sense that it is now. Whenever something is happening, it's now. Everything that has ever taken place in your life has happened now, right? And you might say, well, what about all the things that I remember? Well, they only exist when you remember them in the now, right? A memory forgotten doesn't exist. It's only when you recall it into the now that it becomes real, because the now itself is what imbues it with its realness. So if this I amness is continuous, and this sense of now is continuous, might they be the same thing? I think they are. So what else? Is there anything else in your experience that shares that incredible continuity? Well, there's the sense that you're here, right? Anytime anything happens, it happens to you here. Even if it happens far away, you hear about it here, right? So just like the now, in that you only know things in the now, things only ever happen to you here, right? Wherever anything happens, it was here for you. So might the now and the here be the same thing? Yes, I think that they are. So if the I am is the same as the now, and the now is the same as the here, then the I am is the same as the here. So saying I am here now is saying the same thing 3 times. It's the same exact statement. They're not different. It's the same thing. Your I amness is the now. It is the here. And it is God. Right? That I amness is that in which everything exists. Nothing exists apart from it. So that I amness is there to witness all of it. Right? That's that omniscience. That here-ness, everything exists only within it. That's that omnipotence. Right? So these qualities that we attribute to God are all qualities that we can attribute to the now and to the here. Right? So that now and that here are apart from the things that exist within it. But those things that exist within it can't exist without it. Right? So when Jesus says, I am within the Father and the Father is within me, then he's stating his body, his existence, exists within God. And that God exists within him. He knows it inside him, right? The kingdom of heaven is within man. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. It's within you. You already have it. You've never been without it. You can't be without it because you only exist because of it. So this I amness, this here-ness, and this now-ness are all the same thing. Well, what about all the material? Why is there being itself? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on why. But I will say that you can't know the now and the here without the content, right? To know the thing that never changes, you have to have a reference frame that does change. That's how you recognize the thing that doesn't change, right? Because when a thing is so close to you that you can't be without it, you can't ever know it. You can only be it. So we exist in this world of form. And all these forms exist based on the reality that is given to them, extended to them by God. Now, all of that said, what is the good? I said that I would speak a little bit about that too. Well, the good is very simple. The first principle of the good from which all other goods can be derived is very simple. I am that I am. All things that tend towards that I amness is the good, right? I'd like to decompose that I amness a little farther, just to make sure you have a clear grasp of this. So this I, that's the now, that's the here. This amness is all that exists within it. So there is God, Parabrahman, right? And then there is Brahman, all that exists, am, right? So, given that you have this I amness, all things that tend towards that I amness, preserving it, are good, right? You worship this I amness and you don't even know it. Maybe you do, but I think most people don't. Because every time you eat, every time you sleep, every time you take care of your body, you bathe yourself, whatever you do to perpetuate your beingness, every time you choose to eat healthy food over non-healthy food, or to eat unhealthy food over sand, you're still choosing beingness, right? It's the highest value that we have. Everything we do, our reproduction, everything we do tends towards preserving I amness. So we all worship God, whether we would like to admit it or not. You can't escape that. And even the man who rebels against God and kills himself, right, designates the I amness as the highest value, because that's where he chooses to exact his deepest revenge. He chooses the highest value to attack in suicide. And in doing so, the very choice to attack being is the clear evidence of its elevation to the highest status for that person. Their final act is to revolt against that which they think is the highest. So lots of people like to pretend like they're ambivalent about being. And I just don't believe them. Because they still eat, they still sleep, they still take care of their body, they still perpetuate their being. So I think all of us really do worship this being. I think we hate suffering, but we worship being. And so there are no secular people. Only people who haven't understood what they really love yet. So anyway, I hope that that helps shed some light. And like I said at the beginning, if you don't believe any of that, that's fine. Just throw it away, forget about it. Who am I? Doesn't matter. So if this is helpful to you though, then good. I hope it helps you to be aware that you are that within which all things appear and disappear. But you were there first, and you don't go when they go. You witnessed your body come into being, and at some point you develop this sense of I amness. Not just I. The I was always there. But this amness came with the body, and it will go with the body. But you being the now, you being the I am that all things exist in, even when the body that you currently have goes, you don't go. Because the I that is aware of this amness is the same I that is aware of the amness of every other individual. And so just because right now this eye sees through these eyes doesn't mean it stops seeing through all the other eyes when this body goes. The I amness in you is the I amness in me and in everything else that exists. There's never been anything apart from you. Anyway, thank you, and I hope you have a good day.